everybody, it's Donna here from Purple Pinky Promises. Thanks for joining me. We have a vintage apple barrel project to bring to you today. So once again, I have taken a clean and simple product, or what we think of as a clean and simple product, and I have given it a vintage feel. So these are the Fawn Build-A-Barrel apple dies. And right here I am showing you that I have taken the scattered straw. These are all distress oxides that I've used in this project. And I placed it in the center. And now I'm taking the twisted citron and going around the sides. And the reason for that scattered straw in the center is to kind of give it a highlight, kind of like the light source shining on the apple. And now I'm taking a brighter color of green, and we're going to mix it now with some crushed olive and kind of tone down that bright neonish look. And it just gives that perfect blend to almost look like a green apple. It's such a pretty combination. So essentially, I just keep adding some shades of color until I get that look that I'm really looking for. And I had quite the heyday with this video. Yeah, I have never had this happen before while I was videotaping, but my screen kept freezing up. So I wasn't even sure I was going to be able to bring you this project because I had so much difficulty with getting this video completed. But I made it. It's here. So now I'm taking this fired brick, distress oxide, and I am going just basically here and there around the apple because apples aren't an even color. They are multicolored if you take a look at an apple. And I'm adding back in color that I think maybe if I covered up too much of the green, I'll come back with the green. And if I didn't, so that's the beauty of the oxide, is that you can always go back over and add more color in. Just giving it some final touches here. And I know that, so here we go. I'm taking some vintage photo and just very lightly brushing it on this. And I will eventually show you the difference that it makes. Here we go. You see that difference that it makes with that vintage photo? It's just a softer look to it. And there you can see it really does give it, this is really what does it for the vintage look. And I felt like I covered up too much of my green, so I went back over it, added more red, just kind of went back and forth with it to get the look I was trying to accomplish. Okay, so now here we have peeled paint. And we are going to ink up these leaves. And I try to get, some shading on one side, light on one side, dark on the other, to just kind of give it more of a realistic look for leaves. And I do want to tell you about these leaves in this die set. The smaller leaf set die, the leaf die, the smaller stems don't go over the stem. So you're going to have to ink up the stem brown and then cover it with a leaf. And the opposite on the other side. The larger one you color up with green and you ink up your stem with brown. So you can see there, that's what I've done. So this leaf that I'm coloring is going to go right there on top of the smaller leaf and stem. So now I've added a little bit of red. This is a little trick I've learned that with greenery, when you add that little bit of red, it adds some life to it, gives it some depth and some interest, makes it look a little more realistic. So here we are adding the leaf, and then we'll add the stem. So the larger one, you add the stem to it after you've inked it green, and it's the opposite with the smaller one. You ink it up brown and add the leaf onto it. And now these little apples come with a slit, and I love it. Put the glue on the back, and then I slide the stem down into the back side and kind of hold it into place so it'll catch that glue on the back side. And I love it because, and even though I did end up adding some glue in the front behind the stem, I do like the fact that this does give it a little bit of lift and a little more dimension. So now we're going to ink up our barrel. So this is ground espresso, and I accidentally went in too dark on the left. I wanted a little bit of shading, so I wanted it darker on the right and lighter on the left. And so then I come back with that vintage photo to kind of lighten it up a little bit. But honestly, folks, it ended up not mattering because when I added on the gold accent, you couldn't tell. So it ended up not mattering. Okay, this is a set from Dare to Be Artsy that is just absolutely stunning. And I love this stamp set. It is the Give Thanks stamp set. There are dies that coordinate with it as well, but we're not using those in this set. And then I am stamping it onto the Spellbinders Neutrals Palette Sampler. It is a 6x9 paper pad that is just full of vintage yummy. So now I'm showing you what I've done here, and I'll tell you why I had to do that. It's because I had trouble with recording. My recording would stop, and I didn't notice that it had stopped. It was kind of crazy, folks. I just honestly have to tell you. So what I did there was I just showed you where I got the paper from on the actual sheet. And this is, I'm showing you how I got my gold accents onto my apple barrel. And I basically, what I did was take some acetate and I threw some of that paint on there, and I just dabbed it on. And here I'm ripping it, and always rip towards you so you can get, first of all, you get that edge that you're looking for. And second of all, it's a whole lot easier. Okay, so that paint is the Zig Kuretake Gansai Tambi, and I use the red gold one. And we are using Vintage Photo and Ground Espresso to ink this up. I did use the white Taklon fan brush as well. Okay. So now we're going to put our barrel together. And putting that paint onto the acetate is a nice little trick to have a little bit more control and less mess. I do like it. And this barrel also has a slit in it where you can slide your apples down inside there. So what I do in this is I put the glue at the bottom of the apple and slide the apple in its place. Now I will say that what I should have thought to do is not put the glue on the right side of that apple. Now I didn't put so much on the left side of this apple, but it was a little bit of a tug. So be aware of that when you're putting these in. If you're going to put glue on the front, you may have glued yourself and You may have glued those apples to where you can't get them back in. Okay. So here I'm just building up my apple barrel, and I'm walking you through that process. You can probably see on the one I'm gluing right now, I actually tried to get some water splatter on there, and it just didn't work. I didn't like the look of it. So I stopped. And I decided it would get tucked in the back, and it wouldn't matter anyway. It's good to get a feel for what things do, what kind of techniques do what to your project. So I splattered one or two with a couple of water, and I ended up not liking it, but it was fine. It all gets covered up in the end. So here I am, just basically trying to get the layout of my card figured out. And by the way, I did ink that background piece all the way around the edges, as well as these two pieces. I love how this turned out because it ends up looking like two pieces of ephemera, and it's actually not. It's just from a paper pack. So to kind of give it that authentic vintage look, I go around here, and I do it here and I do it again later in the video, but I'm trying to curl those edges up just to kind of give them that wrinkled around the edge, aged look. And I'm just giving it a little brush to get rid of that stark white that's on there. I really like what the red gold did to this barrel, because it does look like it's I feel like it made it look even more vintage. So I am using this Scrapbook adhesives. I'm using the small and the large black foam pieces. And excuse me, it's late, and I'm burning the candle at both ends. So a little trick I like to keep my adhesive to go further is I cut my pieces of foam adhesive from squares. I cut them into I cut them off, or cut them at an angle when a piece is too large and I just need a couple of small pieces. Fussying with it again, trying to get it some curly edges there to make it look authentic and real. And I really do love how this card turned out. It's just got a beautiful, soft, vintage feel. I'm adhering it to the card front. And there we have it. That card base is Alabaster, Spellbinders Alabaster cardstock. All right. Thanks, you guys, for joining me. Don't forget to hit that subscribe. Give us a like, share, and go check out our website. We certainly appreciate all that you do for us here at Purple Pinky Promises. Thanks, and have a great day. Bye-bye.